or use the official battle cry we voted on. Go Avengers, go! Quote, Marvel Boy. What if, Volume 1, Issue 9, what if the Avengers had been formed during the 1950s? I am the Watcher, and this is the Avengers Mansion, headquarters of Earth's mightiest superheroes. Iron Man has convened a meeting, but he has a specific reason for gathering only Thor, the Vision Beast, and Captain America. Before unveiling his revelation, Iron Man poses a question to the assembled Avengers. What if the Avengers had been formed during the 1950s? He presents a video from the dimensional viewer he created inspired by the transporter used by the Squadron Supreme. The footage depicts the late 1950s, raising questions about whether it pertains to their own world. As the Avengers observe iconic scenes like I Like Ike and I Love Lucy, with glimpses of Sputnik and Tall Gunner Joe, the ever-watchful Watcher observes them. The Beast voices his curiosity, asking, okay, so we're nostalgic, but what does all this Happy Day stuff have to do with the Avengers? Iron Man responds, just be patient, Beast, and you'll see. The armored Avenger, with his iron gloved fingers, manipulates the dimensional viewer, bringing into focus San Francisco in the late 1950s. More precisely, the scene unfolds on a street in Chinatown where a mysterious presence silently waits. As the dimensional viewer unveils the late 1950s Chinatown scene in San Francisco, the focus shifts to a young FBI agent named James Woo, patiently awaiting his contact. Woo finds himself in a perilous situation when the notorious Black Dragons, a vicious gang of motorcycle punks in Chinatown, emerge. It becomes apparent they have their set sights on taking out Mr. James Woo, adding an unexpected layer of danger to the unfolding narrative. James Woo skillfully dodges the ongoing motorcycle, showcasing his agility and quick thinking. However, he recognizes the overwhelming odds against him as another wave of motorcycle gang makes a second turn, launching a relentless and coordinated attack. Despite his resilience, Woo realized that facing the entire gang head-on might be insurmountable challenge. As the Black Dragon swarms, James Woo, like birds at play, an unexpected ally emerges on the rooftop above. 3D Man, perched and observing the unfolding chaos, calculates the odds, recognizing that the odds are 3-1 and Woo hasn't fully recovered from his recent tumble. 3D Man decides to take on the gang solo. With James Woo woozy and just beginning to get up, 3D Man leaps over him, ready to confront the Black Dragon and tip the balance in their favor. 3D Man, showcasing his augmented strength, lifts the tires of the bikes, tearing off the back tire from one of the motorcycle gang members. With precision, he hurls it like a bowling ball into the other members of the motorcycle gang. 3D Man confidently declares, I have the strength of 3 men. Jimmy Woo, marveling at the powers of 3D Man, sees them as truly fantastic, and he believes that not even Captain America couldn't outdo such a display. 3D Man, seeking a bit of recognition, is pleased that someone in town acknowledges him. Jimmy Woo adds that he won't have to track 3D Man down at the Bureau anymore. Confused by the revelation, 3D Man is confronted by the unexpected arrival of Marvel Boy, who possesses the ship known as the Silver Bullet. 3D Man notes that Marvel Boy has been out of sight for several years. Even though Marvel Boy arrived late to the fight, he decides to contribute by probing the minds of the hoodlums. By delving into their thoughts, Marvel Boy hopes to uncover the motivations behind why these criminal types wanted to harm Jimmy Woo. Utilizing his telepathic abilities acquired on the planet Uranus, Marvel Boy discerns that the hoodlums are under the mental control of the Yellow Claw. Jimmy Woo remarks, I should have guessed because of the Yellow Claw that I'm here, and I want to contact you and the others. 3D Man, expressing his willingness to join the team, awaits further instructions. However, before fully joining, Jimmy Woo has a specific task for Marvel Boy, a little errand in Africa. Meanwhile, another part of Chinatown, the Yellow Claw catches sight of his most hated foe, Jimmy Woo. Despite the animosity, Jimmy Woo still holds a significant place in the Yellow Claw's niece's Swan's heart. The Yellow Claw observes with concern as his adversary, Jimmy Woo, begins to forge alliances. Recognizing the potential threat to his plans of taking over the United States, the Yellow Claw closely monitors their activities. Halfway across the world, world, an image of crystal shifts, signaling a connection to the unfolding events. Simultaneously, his niece Sue-Ann watches, implying that there is more at stake than just the personal vendetta between Jimmy Woo and the Yellow Claw. The Silver Bullet, a rocket ship designed through the combined knowledge of Earth and Uranus, stands ready. Marvel Boy expresses his surprise at teaming up Jane of the Jungle. However, Jimmy Woo insists that only she knows the whereabouts of Gorilla Man. As Jane of the Jungle approaches Gorilla Man, who is surrounded by lions, Marvel Boy realizes that the assistance is required. Without hesitation, Jane of the Jungle jumps out of the rocket ship to aid Gorilla Man in the perilous situation. Jane swiftly reacts, delivering a powerful strike to one of the lions. In less than a minute, Marvel Boy joins the fray, fending off another lion with a formidable power blast. Despite their efforts, the lions appear unharmed by the superhero attacks. It becomes evident that Gorilla Man is distinct from other animals in the jungle, and the unfolding situation raises questions about his unique nature. Gorilla Man breaks his silence, responding with a touch of sarcasm. Lady, if that isn't a classic understatement of the year, I don't know what is. Marvel Boy, amazed at the gorilla's ability to speak, engages in a conversation with him. However, Gorilla Man is visibly angry, questioning why they bothered to help a shaggy monstrous that was once a human. As Marvel Boy explains that his strength and agility are needed back in the United States, Gorilla Man reveals the painful truth that his wife rejected him when he transformed into a gorilla. In an effort to convince Gorilla Man to join the mission, Marvel Boy makes a promise. He pledges to seek a cure for Gorilla Man's condition using uranium science if Gorilla Man assists them. Meanwhile, Jane of the Jungle remains in the jungle, ready to confront the evils and injustices that lurk within. Meanwhile, near the port, Jimmy Woo and 3D Man catches sight of movement in the ocean. To their surprise, it is Namora emerging from the water. Namora is the sea woman and cousin of Prince Namor, the legendary submariner, as she splashes out of the water, revealing her aquatic presence. Upon getting a better look at Namor, 3D Man suggests taking the action underwater. Namora agrees, stating, I suggest we do it underwater. In response, 3D Man, displaying his wit, says, no need to tell me 3 times, Esther Williams, and promptly jumps into the water. As they navigate the underwater terrain, 3D Man finds himself impressed with Namora's exceptional swimming abilities, struggling to keep up with her aquatic prowess. There is a robot in the water, a human robot. Jimmy Woo, observing from the surface, contemplates the darkness below, unable to see anything. However, a sudden realization strikes him, and he reflects. So dark, I can't see anything down there, but maybe. What? Suddenly I feel like I did when I first met Sue-Ann. That means, Jimmy Woo, with a tone of recognition, exclaims, yes, I know it could only be you, Venus. Venus, appearing in response to Jimmy's message, offers an apology, expressing, sorry if I took you by surprise, but sometimes the power of love can be overwhelming. After all, I'm the goddess of love. The human robot proves to be an exceptional heavy, challenging, even 3D man's strength. Namora decides to depart, expressing her urgency to find Namor, who has been missing for several months. 3D man acknowledges Namor's dedication, congratulating her for a job well done, turning his attention now to Venus. 3D man shifts focus to the goddess of love, as Jimmy Woo warns the group about the human robot's movement, emphasizing its dangerous programming. 3D man remains more focused on Venus. Venus, leveraging her divine abilities, places a hex-like style on the robot, preventing it from causing harm or taking any lethal action. Venus enlightens the team, stating, my love power can transform any weapon into an instrument of peace. Marvel Boy arrives, landing the Silver Bullet with new companion Gorilla Man. Eager to assess the situation, Marvel Boy expresses attention to delve into the thoughts of the human robot. After examining beneath the robot's chest plate for a minute, Marvel Boy unveils his findings, warning that the human robot will persist in its violent tendencies unless a regulator is installed. He suggests using one of the stored parts in the Silver Bullet for the necessary modifications. The unfolding challenge requires a combination of technology, expertise, and the team's unique abilities to address the threat posed by the human robot. Drawing on the knowledge gained on Uranus, Marvel Boy could swiftly repurpose the human robot into a useful machine. Anticipating a complete team with the addition of Venus, Jimmy expresses lingering unease about the robot, not to mention Gorilla Man. In the present time, Beast reflects his own similarities to Gorilla Man, while Thor draws a comparison between himself and Venus. The Watcher takes a moment to elucidate the origins of the new superheroes. One such example is Ken Halley, a man consumed by a idea of the Gorilla Man, a legendary creature creature believed to be half man, half animal, residing in Kenya. Driven by his obsession, Haley relentlessly sought out the creature, ultimately slaying it. However, an unexpected turn of events occurred as a mysterious curse transformed Haley into the new Gorilla Man. The Watcher continues to reveal the origins of the new superheroes, including Marvel Boy. In 1935, Professor Matthew Grayson faced tragedy as his wife and daughter were killed by the Nazis. Fleeing Hitler's tyranny with his infant son, Bob Grayson, in an early atomic-powered craft, their moon-bound ship unexpectedly veered off course, reaching a distant planet, Uranus. It was on Uranus that Bob Grayson, now a growing child, acquired both the name and extraordinary abilities of Marvel Boy. The Watcher unfolds the origin story of the human robot, revealing that at a certain point in time, a scientist required a special regulator to finalize his new robot. Unfortunately, an unscrupulous businessman sabotaged the rollback program of the robot, causing it to carry out a fatal order to kill its creator. Even after successfully eliminating both men, the lack of the regulator left the kill order intact, driving the human robot to seek out more victims. The narrative takes a tragic turn as the human robot's rampage is curtailed when it's short-circuited by water, preventing it from causing further harm. The Watcher continues to unveil the origin story, shifting attention to Venus. It begins on Mount Olympus among the immortal Greco-Roman gods, where both Venus and Aphrodite coexist. Venus, the incomparable goddess of love and beauty, emerges as the daughter of Zeus and the cousin of Hercules, prince of power. In a surprising turn, she romances all her godly attributes except for the power of love itself. This decision leads to dwell among mortals as she observes the apparent need for the unique gift that only she can bestow. Venus's choice to embrace humanity adds a poignant and divine element to her character's origin. The Watcher continues to reveal the origin stories, as in this case of 3D Man. It begins with a pilot named Chuck Chandler. While test flying an experiment XF-13, Chuck was unprepared for his capture by the alien Skrulls. The situation takes a dramatic turn when the flying saucer explodes, creating an unusual melding between Chuck and his younger brother Hal. When either brother donned certain glasses, they would merge into a single being known as 3D Man. Amidst the banter and trading of insults between 3D Man and Gorilla Man, Marvel Boy makes a timely entrance, bringing the human robot with him. Marvel Boy announces that the human robot is now on their side thanks to the incorporation of uranium technology. This enhancement enables the robot not only to speak but also to think independently. Marvel Boy notes that the human robot may not possess much of the personality, but is precisely this lack of emotion that makes it a valuable asset, according to Jimmy. To demonstrate its newfound strength, the human robot effortlessly cracks a steel pipe in half, revealing that it surpasses even Gorilla Man in sheer power. Jimmy Woo addresses the assembled team, expressing the need for their unique strength. He reveals that he has recently been assigned as a personal bodyguard to President Eisenhower due to the 3 attempts on the president's life in the past month. All the attempts have been linked to the Yellow Claw, an old mystic from the Tibetan Alps with aspirations to rule the United States and eventually the world. Jimmy emphasized that each day the Yellow Claw's power and influence grow stronger. In response to the threat, there will be an organized group of superpowered individuals seeking to avenge the crimes committed by the Yellow Claw. The mission is clear: to thwart the plans of the Yellow Claw and to protect the president from further harm. In this alternate reality, Jimmy Woo of the FBI assembles a formidable team consisting of Marvel Boy, 3D Man, Gorilla Man, the human robot, and the goddess Venus. Inspired by Jimmy Woo's use of the word avenge, this newly formed group of Avengers is amply named the Avengers. United by a common purpose, the Avengers are ready to confront the threats and defend the world against the machinations of the Yellow Claw and other formidable adversaries. The stage is set for a unique and powerful team to emerge and make their mark in this alternate Marvel universe. 1 month later, in an underground lair fermented with the heavy scent of incense, the Yellow Claw gives the directive. His right-hand man has been ordered to launch an attack on the American president. The Yellow Claw comes with a clear warning: failure is not an option. The tension in the underground lair builds as the Yellow Claw prepares for a sinister plot that threatens the highest echelons of the American leadership. The Yellow Claw has assembled a formidable team to carry out the attack on the president of the United States. The team comprises of the Cold Warrior, who wields the power of ice, the Russian assassin Electro, armed with the ability to control electricity. Adding to the eerie touch is Skullface, place. The skeletal remains of an alleged demon executed at the state centuries ago. Rounding out the team is the enigmatic Great Video, possessing the power to kill with a prolonged stare. The Yellow Claw unveils a sinister plan, revealing a potion designed to restore and control the powers of his team, making them slaves to his will. Once their superpowered minions accomplish the Yellow Claw's goals, Jimmy Woo is to be handed over to Fritz, with the Yellow Claw trusting that an appropriate demise awaits him. As the nefarious scheme is laid out, the niece of the Yellow Claw expresses deep sadness upon learning of the dark intentions for Jimmy Woo. On the same day, Electro is busy drilling a hole through the tunnels, carving a direct path that leads directly below the intended target. The ominous sound of drilling echoes through the suburban passage, marking the calculated and stealthy approach of the Yellow Claw's team towards their ominous objective. Elsewhere on the surface, the President of the United States enjoys a round of golf, seemingly oblivious to the looming threat by the Yellow Claw. The atmosphere is tense and the FBI surrounds him, acting as vigilante security presence. Confident in his protection, the President expresses a belief that he has the best bodyguards. With a touch of a casual assurance, he wonders aloud how anyone could attempt to harm him on an open golf course. Little does he know that beneath the surface, the Yellow Claw's team is plotting a devious attack. Suddenly, chaos erupts on the open golf course. A skeptical arm reaches out of the ground, grabbing at the President's leg. In the ensuing mayhem, an FBI agent is shot by Electro's electrical powers, while the other falls victim to the freezing abilities of the Cold Warrior. Simultaneously, a brave agent locks eyes with the Great Video, likely falling victim to the lethal stare that claims lives. The carefully orchestrated attack by the Yellow Claw's team unfolds swiftly, catching the security detail off guard. The large hole created by the Cold Warrior is now covered in ice, adding an additional layer of complexity to the unfolding situation. As the President experiences chest pains, a hidden Jimmy Woo manages to slip through the hole, strategically concealing himself behind the rocks. His mission is clear: to follow the supervillains and save the President from the impending threat. To expedite their escape, the Cold Warrior creates a slide, allowing the Yellow Claw's team to quickly retreat and regroup. In a warehouse over 2,100 miles away, tensions escalate as Gorilla Man and the human robot engage in a fierce battle. Gorilla Man's difficulty in getting along with others becomes evident in the midst of the clash. Meanwhile, Marvel Boy questions the existence of Mount Olympus and the goddess, introducing a moment of philosophical contemplation amid the physical confrontation. As 3D Man is late, but unbeknownst to the rest of the team, 3D Man can only exist for 3 hours at a time. As he makes fun of the Gorilla Man is sticking up the place, and he couldn't stand the smell, as Marvel Boy steps in and says, "Gorilla Man, he didn't mean it." Gorilla Man, tired of the insults from 3D Man, reaches his breaking point and delivers a powerful punch. Despite 3D Man's incredible strength, the force of the blow is so intense that were it not for 3D Man's enhanced durability, the punch could have proved fatal. The impact sends Marvel Boy flying to the side, adding to the intensity and the confrontation within the Avengers. In the midst of the chaos, 3D Man accidentally collides with the human robot, triggering a defensive response from the metallic entity. 3D Man, displaying arrogance, dismisses the collision as an accident, but challenges the human robot to a fight. Before the situation can escalate further, Venus intervenes, utilizing her powers of love to stop the impending conflict. The calming influence of love diffuses the tension among the team members, underscoring Venus's role in maintaining unity within the Avengers. Despite the earlier commotion, the Avengers miss a crucial message from Jimmy Woo. He urgently conveys that the following: the Yellow Claw super team in a tunnel, and implores the Avengers to spring into action. Unaware of this development, the Avengers, now united and focused, rally behind the battle cry, "Go Avengers, go!" The team, driven by a common purpose, readies themselves to face the impending threat and protect both Jimmy Woo and the President of the United States from the sinister machinations of the Yellow Claw and his formidable team. Yellow Claw expresses satisfaction that the President has survived the initial assault. Confident in his overreaching plan, he begins to set the stage for the next phase of his nefarious scheme. The Yellow Claw reveals his audacious plan to use the beloved President as leverage, intending to ransom his life for complete sovereignty over one of the populous eastern states. The President, rightfully considering this demand insane, rejects the notion that the American people can be blackmailed in such a manner. Little does he know the Yellow Claw's ambitions extend far beyond a single state. His ultimate goal is to take over not just a state, but the entire country, the Orient, and eventually the entire world. While the President sees the madness in these ambitious ambitions, Suan, the niece of the Yellow Claw, grapples with moral dilemma. Though she recognizes her uncle's madness and needs to stop him, the internal conflict arises as she struggles with the decision to betray her own flesh and blood. In a moment of intense secrecy and potential danger, Jimmy Woo enters and surprises Suan with a passionate kiss. After the affectionate moment, he hands Suan a communicator, emphasizing its use in case he is discovered or needs assistance. The communication device becomes a discreet lifeline connecting Suan to the Avengers and ensuring a means of support as the team endeavors to thwart the Yellow Claw's malevolent plan. In a treacherous turn of events, the Yellow Claw sends Electro to check on his niece, Suan. The unsuspecting government agent, expecting an uninvited visitor, is met with electric shock from Electro. The electrical surge renders the agent unconscious. As he awakens, he mistakenly thinks he sees Suan. However, to his surprise, it is the president standing before him alongside the formidable Yellow Claw. The shock intended to harm miraculously doesn't kill the agent while the president remains unharmed. The strain on his heart is evident, raising concerns about how long it can endure under this extraordinary stress. In a moment of compassion, the Yellow Claw allows Suan to leave the room, sparing her from witnessing the torture of her lover, Jimmy Woo. As the Avengers prepare to intervene, they jump into Marvel Boy's spaceship with the intent of finding the president in Washington. However, the challenge lies in not knowing exactly where to look. Marvel Boy scanning for signals, receiving an unexpected beep. To everyone's surprise, it's not Jimmy Woo, but Suan herself who contacts the Avengers. She offers to provide the location where the president is being held captive with the condition that no harm will come to her uncle, the Yellow Claw. The Avengers, recognizing the urgency of the situation, appeal to Suan's love for Jimmy Woo. They implore her to reveal the location of Jimmy, emphasizing that it's essential to save him regardless of the consequences for her uncle. Meanwhile, the Yellow Claw observes the unfolding dynamics. In response to the president's plea to spare Jimmy Woo, the Yellow Claw remains resolute, refusing to change his plan. In a sudden and dramatic turn of events, the human robot crashes to the rocks, revealing that Suan didn't fail Jimmy Woo. She successfully provided the location. The unexpected entrance of the human robot adds a dynamic element to the situation, breaking the tension and potentially altering the course of events. Hearing the unexpected noise and sensing the imminent threat of the Yellow Claw's team of villains readies themselves for battle. The Yellow Claw, seizing the opportunity, issues a command to his formula group, instructing them to use their powers to destroy the Avengers. The Cold Warrior, leveraging his freezing power, quickly encases the human robot in ice, effectively trapping the formula entity. As the Avengers and the Yellow Claw's team square off, the battleground is set to a showdown between the two groups possessing extraordinary powers. In a fierce one-on-one battle, Gorilla Man clashes with Electro. The electrifying villain shoots bolts of electricity from his hands, attempting to fry Gorilla Man with his potent attacks. Meanwhile, the formidable Skullface proves resistant to Marvel Boy's light jewel, advancing undeterred. The confrontation takes a gruesome turn as Skullface sinks his teeth into Marvel Boy's skin, unleashing a savage attack. In the midst of the ongoing battle, Jimmy Woo continues to struggle against his bonds. However, Suan takes decisive action and cuts Jimmy Woo loose, providing him with the freedom to join the fray. Meanwhile, the Cold Warrior employs his freezing abilities, once again targeting Venus and encasing her in ice, much like he did with the human robot. In a desperate situation, Venus finds herself vulnerable inside the ice, facing the threat of freezing to death. However, she summons her love power, attempting to turn it on her opponent, even through the ice. Meanwhile, a little crack forms in the ice, and a determined Cold Warrior fights to keep the ice prison intact. Just when it seems bleak, Gorilla Man seizes an opportunity and jumps on the back of the Cold Warrior. This sudden attack breaks the Cold Warrior's concentration, disrupting his control over the ice prison. With the distraction, Venus manages to break free. With the Cold Warrior momentarily incapacitated, Gorilla Man sees the opportunity and picks him up, contemplating his next move. The battlefield becomes a stage for Gorilla Man's decision on how to deal with his opponent. At the same time, Marvel Boy, showcasing his incredible strength and unique fighting style, throws Skullface aside. Seizing the opportunity, Gorilla Man hurls Cold Warrior directly into Skullface with a tremendous force. The impact creates a devastating collision, shattering Skullface's skeletal form into many bones. The battlefield resonates with the sound of the bone-crushing impact as the two opponents are incapacitated by the powerful maneuver. In a tense confrontation, Video Man stares at 3D Man, acknowledging that if they weren't for 3D Man's enhanced durability, he would have succumbed to the situation. Marvel Boy seizes the moment and delivers a powerful punch to Video Man, reminding him of their previous encounter when Marvel Boy successfully neutralized his X-ray vision using his light and fist. Undeterred, Video Man claims he is much stronger now. However, before he can showcase his post-strength, Gorilla Man intervenes, grabbing a leg bone from the shattered remains of Skullface and swiftly striking Video Man over the head. As Venus struggles with the cold and bit days, Electro sees an opportunity to finish her off with one of his deadly energy bolts. However, before Electro can unleash the fatal attack, Marvel Boy intervenes to save Venus. Marvel Boy's swift action creates a diversion, disrupting Electro's plan and providing Venus with a momentary reprieve. Capitalizing on the distraction, 3D Man enters the scene, running around circle around Electro and shooting blasts. In a strategic move, one of 3D Man's blasts targets the ice prisons, holding the human robot captive. The precise hit successfully shattering the ice, freeing the human robot from its frozen confinement. With the human robot now liberated, 3D Man shifts his focus to the larger mission and rushes to save the President of the United States. Approaching the President, 3D Man inquires about his well-being, ensuring that the leader of the nation is unharmed amid the chaos. In a clash of formidable strengths, the human robot and Electro find themselves evenly matched. Both possess incredible power, with Electro proudly declaring himself as the most powerful among those who serve the Yellow Claw. He emphasized that his strength, like that of the human robot, is born of electricity. However, the human robot remains strategic in his approach, responding to Electro's boasts about hand-to-hand combat. The human robot reveals that defeating Electro in such a manner is not his plan. The human robot, displaying a strategic move, absorbs electricity unleashed by Electro and redirects it back towards him. The surge of electricity short circuits Electro, incapacitating him in the process. This tactical maneuver demonstrates the human robot's ability to not only withstand attacks, but also turn them to his advantage. Meanwhile, amidst the intense battle between the Avengers and the Yellow Claw's team, Jimmy Woo remains vigilant. To his dismay, he notices the henchmen of the Yellow Claw taking Swan away, attempting to escape during the chaos. The unfolding events add an additional layer of urgency to the narrative, prompting Jimmy Woo to navigate the complexity of the situation, address the threat against Swan. In a hard-fought and intense battle, the heroes, the Avengers, ultimately succeed in rescuing the president and defeating Yellow Claw and his minions. Despite the challenges and battle wounds, the Avengers emerge victorious, thwarting the nefarious plans of their adversaries. Electro succumbs to electrifying tactics of the human robot. The Cold Warrior is incapacitated. Skullface lies in pieces and the Video Man is knocked out. The Avengers, feeling a sense of pride in their accomplishment, have managed to secure the safety of the president and overcome the formidable threats posed by the Yellow Claw's villainous team. However, Yellow Claw himself manages to escape. As the dust settles after the intense battle, Venus finds herself feeling very cold. Marvel Boy, showing both compassion and affection, steps in to warm her up. Marvel Boy opens up about his own misconceptions, admitting that he was wrong to attribute his feelings for Venus solely for her unique powers. In the heartfelt moment, Marvel Boy proclaims his genuine love for Venus, revealing a connection that transcends any external influences. The exchange between Marvel Boy and Venus adds a touch of romance to the aftermath of the battle. Meanwhile, the president expresses admiration for the Avengers and acknowledges their significant contribution. He addresses 3D Man, directly acknowledging the negative press the team has received and expressing his intent to rectify the situation. As Jimmy Woo navigates the darkness, cautious of the potential for a trap by the Yellow Claw, a voice emerges seemingly belonging to the elusive villain. The Yellow Claw acknowledges Jimmy Woo's discovery, prompting a tense standoff in the shadows. Jimmy Woo, determined to bring an end to the situation, reacts swiftly, attempting to grab hold of the Yellow Claw. Jimmy Woo, despite his initial suspicion that it might be too easy, decides not to turn away and run. Determined to see this through and apprehend the Yellow Claw, he moves forward. However, as he advances, 3D Man grabs hold of him, creating an obstacle in his pursuit. Simultaneously, the human robot positions itself in front of what appears to be the Yellow Claw. The unfolding scenario adds a layer of complexity to the situation, leaving Jimmy Woo caught between the physical restraint of the 3D Man and the enigmatic figure standing before him. In a sudden and perilous turn of events, it becomes evident that Jimmy Woo's suspicions were correct. It's indeed a trap. The figure that seemed to be the Yellow Claw reveals itself to be a bomb. As the explosive devices trigger, the human robot positioned in front takes the full brunt of the blast. As the explosive trap is triggered, Jimmy Woo experiences a moment of realization and frustration, feeling like an idiot for falling into the yellow claws cutting trap. However, amidst the aftermath, 3D Man offers an unexpected revelation. The human robot sacrificed himself for the entire team. Surprisingly, despite the magnitude of the blast, the human robot manages to get back up, showing resilience and durability. Though sporting a few dents, the human robot's ability to withstand the explosion adds to an element of surprise and relief to the situation. In the aftermath of the rescue and the intense battle, the president, concerned about the potential public relations, makes a decisive order, believing that revealing the existence of super beings like the Avengers would incite panic among the American public. He directs the group to disband. The president emphasizes the importance of keeping their brief collaboration a secret, shrouding the Avengers in secrecy. The members of the 1950s Avengers understand the president's decision to agree to part ways. Marvel Boy, expressing hope for the future, suggests that there may come a time when the Avengers will once again be needed. Back in the present day, the Avengers, Beast, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, and Vision reflect on the events they have witnessed. The Vision observes the connection, noting that the Golden Avengers saw only the four of them in the present moment. The narrative hints at the cyclical nature of heroism and teamwork, leaving room for the possibility that the Avengers may be called upon again in the future. The storyline weaves together the past and present, drawing parallels between the two iterations of the Avengers. Captain America, reflecting on the 1950s Avenger, draws a parallels between himself and 3D Man, acknowledging similarities in fighting styles despite differences in strength and endurance. Meanwhile, the Iron Man draws comparison between Marvel Boy's Risk laser beam and the modern-day Avengers repulsor rays, highlighting the continuity of certain abilities across different eras. In a light-hearted moment, the Beast identifies with Marvel Boy, but jests that he's stuck with being compared to Gorilla Man. The Beast playfully notes that despite the comparison, he prefers his own hairstyle over Gorilla Man. As the Vision reflects on the comparison to the human robot, acknowledging their shared android nature and inherent in humanity, he acknowledges the human robot's notable qualities that earned him the name Avenger. Similarly, the Vision sees himself as worthy and significantly entity, living up to the name Avenger in his own right. Thor, drawing parallels between himself and Venus, recognizes the unique and immortal nature of both beings. He acknowledges that despite the differences in pantheons, the power of love and beauty has accomplished miracles comparable to the feats of the Thunder God and his enchanted hammer. With Iron Man's final comments, the giant dimensional eye is switched off, and the present-day Avengers turn their attention to the sky, seeking answers to unvoiced questions. Their narrative highlights the mysterious and ever-evolving nature of their heroic journey, leaving certain inquiries unanswered. The mention of the unchanged Russian satellite Sputnik orbiting the Earth in 1978 serves as a symbolic reminder of enduring elements that persist across time, even as the Avengers navigate through different eras and challenges. The Watcher, maintaining his role as an observer, contemplates the lingering question. He acknowledges the curiosity about whether the Avengers in the present reality just witnessed a significant event and ponders the fate of the Avengers from the bygone days. The Watcher hints at the possibility of providing answers in time, leaving the door open for revelations or allowing the mysteries to persist. As the guardian of the cosmic knowledge, the Watcher emphasizes his duty to observe, refraining from his direct interference in the unfolding events. The narrative closes with a sense of intrigue, underscoring the enigmatic nature of the Watcher's role and the limitless powers within the Marvel Universe. Notes: for many years, the Beast questions whether he was viewing the past of Earth 616 or another dimension when unanswered. In Avengers Forever 4, it was finally revealed that he had turned into another dimension when heroes from Earth 616 visited that dimension, named Earth 9904, shortly before it was destroyed by Immortus. The editor's note on Skullface mistakenly references his story as Mystic 6 instead of Mysterious Tales number 6. Next, What If Volume 1, Issue 10. What if Jane Foster had found the Hammer of Thor?